I'm not quite sure why the crotch is so low on this thing. Like, I feel like I'm waddling.
I don't know. One size fits all. You know, it's some people.
Well, then why would the arms be long enough?
I don't know. I guess if I were in that costume, or if I were making that costume, I would assume that there's going to be some gloves involved in as well. I don't know, cat mittens or something. So that should account for some of the loss of sleeves. Or was that a panther?
It's cat.
Okay, because it's black and it's got yellow eyes. I would have.
There's not really that many options for cat onesies. Also, it's got different colors its stomach.
Cute. Okay. Now, why Matt is wearing this is because we're doing an episode about holidays in games.
Yes.
This is mostly going to be in the realm of MMORPGs because those are the games that tend to celebrate holidays the most.
Those are sort of the living games. It's the
right.
idea
I mean,
of something you actually stick in over time. I'm going to take this hood off. Something you actually stick in over time, as opposed to just coming by, gunning through all of it, and leaving.
Exactly. A persistent world
Yeah.
is what it was what you want out of an MMORPG.
Mm-hmm. If someone can come by and enjoy all the content you have, and then leave after a month, well, then you got Knights of the Old Republic. Eat some burn cream for that?
Do you mean the MMO?
Yeah.
Okay, so then just the old Republic. And that's the Old Republic was the original RPGs,
Oh, okay. Well,
which
yes.
you could burn through in a month and have even less reason to play again. Well, actually, no, because you would want to do it again and do the evil side. So you had some replay value to it, but still a month's worth of gameplay.
Yeah.
Tops.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Matt, I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to ask me the question after you're done answering it. But it's, how do you feel about holiday events, or just, I guess, special events in games in general? Go.
I actually really go. Is there a word limit? Okay, I actually really like them. I feel it adds some structure to the universe. I feel like it adds a bit of excitement and a bit of carryover, of and obviously they can be done right and they can be done horribly wrong. But done right, it does make this feel more like a place people actually live in. Makes it feel less like, well, there's never any seasons. Why would this place snow? You want snow? Go to those zones, and it makes it feel like, again, this is a place where people live, where they exist, where they go about along their days. When you actually have, some variant on things. I mean, you'd have to be a very strange game to have very specifically Christmas or very specifically Halloween, but do something Halloween-ish or Christmas-ish to basically symbolize that time has moved on and that, we have this thing going on. It's nice. It makes it feel alive, makes it feel exciting, makes it feel reason to do it again. Many competitive games, like the mobile ones, are doing stuff like that these days. They have, Halloween events, they have Christmas events, they celebrate the Lunar New Year. And okay, look, I know the calendar New Year is really close to Christmas, but why is it that the Lunar New Year gets all this attention? Also, I think the camera is really favoring my side. Like, really.
Yeah, but you got the costume and everything. I could just move over.
Okay. I'm sorry, but the calendar New Year is the calendar New Year. I don't understand why the Lunar New Year gets its own event in games.
The Lunar New Year, isn't that supposed to be in conjunction with the Chinese New Year?
Yeah.
See, the thing about China is that China's a big deal. A lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
they celebrate they have their own New Year.
And I guess there are some more exciting elements about it than us.
Yeah, I mean their signs are all different animals. Mine's a snake. I approve.
I'm a dragon.
Congratulations, you're a better snake.
Yeah, and it's also it can get a little silly at times. So I think it's fun. Like most recently, the last Halloween event we had in Guild Wars 2, I was able to pick up a hammer, which was a jack-o'-lantern on a metal spike. And, that's going to look really silly come Winter's Day when I'm running around swinging it, but at the same time, it seemed to be really, it's fun loot. It's basically the same stat-wise hammer I could probably have crafted myself, but it's got a pumpkin on it. And, at the very least in terms of doing Halloween events both right and wrong, Guild Wars 2 was an interesting example where we've had some great ones, we had some bad ones, but it's also very much in universe. It's not, oh, hey, we the developers want to do some Halloween stuff. It's, well, there's this guy called Mad King Thorn, and it turns out he has this son, and there's all this stuff that happens. Oh, and his son is actually going to kill us all, but he hates candy corn. So that's why there's candy corn everywhere. We're repelling the sun.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole like mythology to it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
hell, the first time they ever did a Halloween event, it was literally just, and we have these weird spiritual activities going on. You do this, you do this, you do this. You find out, there's this Mad King Thorn, and he threatened to return after he was killed, yada, yada, yada. Oh, and I just happened to be passing through Lion's Arch when this happened. Like, this was actually an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And a giant version of Mad King Thorn just bursts through the lion fountain and, just looks at everyone, laughs and dives away. And now it's just this dark portal to the Mad Labyrinth. And it just, this is a seasonal event. And it took them, I think, 3 out-of-world months, or at least 3 out-of-world weeks. It took them a while to repair that fountain. It wasn't just events over, fountain back.
Yeah.
It was event over, okay, we're still working on this. You gotta wait a few more patches, still working. And it made it feel like it's actually significant. And again, the threat of the Mad King's son is something that comes around every year, and it's like, oh shit, this guy is actually crazier than his father, or possibly not as crazy as his father, but the father's pretty much just given up and kind of gone senile, so the son is still might murder us all.
He went from mad to senile. That's kind of a relief.
Yeah, and he did that while dead. But again, if done correctly, it can be really fun. It adds life, it adds interest, it adds a reason to play during particular periods of time that isn't just here's the same game over and over again. And again, even non-MMO games are adopting that. Team Fortress 2 does regular, usually huge events for Halloween and Christmas, and most MOBAs do Halloween Christmas events. I mean, you have snow in Dota when it's those months, which you also have snow as a weather effect orb, so it gets very confusing.
Mm-hmm. You reminded me of the Guild Wars 1. The Mad King thing was around for that too. But the beauty of it wasn't so much about the event for me. It was about how the city centers had been altered visually because of the season, and things were obviously more horror-ish. There were dark shapes in the clouds. The moon, I think, was like blood red or something. There was like a face. It was like a little off-putting, not nightmare-inducing, but. It was kind of creepy and eerie, and it captured the feel of Halloween pretty well, which is something that was good.
All right, so what do you think, just generally, of these events?
I hate them, and I'm not saying that just to be like, the opposite side of the argument. We agreed we're not going to pick opposite sides of an argument just for the sake of having an argument, but I legitimately have never really cared for these holiday events. I would never campaign for their inclusion. I would never put additional money into a Kickstarter campaign knowing that additional money would go towards these events. If I got into an MMORPG and it never wasted... Sorry, I shouldn't use negative terms like that. And it never used or never did any events like that, I would never miss them. I would never care. I don't even really want them in the games to begin with, to be perfectly honest.
All right, explain.
All right. I have several reasons. Reason number 1, practically speaking, I don't find them to be the best use of developer time and energy. I think that even the best work done, what you're describing with the Man King thing, even the most well-designed events are essentially finite. Even if they are going to recycle that exact event every year, that's still only 1 month out of 12 months where it's in use. And I understand that this is supposed to be incentive to make players come on and be a part of the festivities and to actually play, but that to me flies in the face of the come and go as you please philosophy of Guild Wars. I don't particularly care to play the game any more so during any of the holiday events than I did any other time. And in fact, it would actually discourage me from going on to it because there's less chance that players are going to be involved in the activities I would want to do as opposed to being involved in the particular activities. So people will be celebrating or being involved in these events, and I just wouldn't care about that. Now I understand that I'm being the asshole here. I'm being the one that is going bah humbug and doesn't want anything to do with this.
You must embrace the spirit of Winter's Day.
But I never bought the game to play this in the first place. It's not on the box. It's not it's not in any descriptions. It just doesn't show up in any year's license agreement. It's not like they tell me. Even if they did tell me, I just wouldn't care. Now, why don't I care? I feel that MMORPGs are very important in modern society for the reason that a lot of lower income bracket families do not get the privilege of vacation or going to go see other parts of the world. I think travel is a luxury that you should appreciate whenever you get the opportunity. And the last time I went to anywhere, even outside of Ontario, was Los Angeles, and that was for a week. And I remember that very fondly, just because it was somewhere else. But by and large, I don't get to go very many places because I don't have the money to do that. So for me, going into an MMORPG is like having a vacation. It's like having some alternate reality, some other world that I can escape to, or just visit and be there for however long I get. I would love to like one day take a week off with a bunch of friends and we all just like sink our teeth into a new MMORPG, and that to me would feel like a vacation. And so when you get to these holiday events, and yeah, they're named differently to avoid liabilities, but they're still basically the events. It's still basically a Halloween event. It's pretty obvious. It's still basically Christmas. It's pretty obvious. It's still basically Valentine's Day. It's pretty obvious. And I, for one, I'm fine with two of those three. I've always been very depressed around Valentine's Day for obvious reasons. But
Singles Awareness Day.
Yeah, but I can imagine somebody who has even less appreciative attitude towards Christmas than I do. There are people who probably really seriously hate Christmas, and not just for religious reasons, just for like being disappointed every Christmas, or wishing that Santa actually gave them something and not getting anything. Being compared to other people in school who just brag about all the shit that they got, and then you not getting anything. I mean, I got things. I'm not using myself as the example, but I can see somebody even in a worse position than I was. And so they go on to these MMORPGs and they're just trying to take their minds off things, and it's in their face. It's this holiday that they hate in real life, and now they have to go into the one thing that they were hoping wouldn't bother them with it, and it's there too. I also feel that holiday events, whenever they give you something that lingers past the event, that can very easily shatter immersion. Like in World of Warcraft, people would have deer mounts after Christmas events, and they would ride around on deers. Like, well, I don't think deers even exist in Azeroth or Kalimdor prior to this. I think they do. I'm pretty sure there were deers around, but it's like, well, change Christmas. Oh, fucking break. The last thing that I want to say, and this is more of a suggestion than anything else, but we are talking about these worlds that are supposed to have all this history and mythology and ongoing stories and civilizations and cultures. And culture is really important too, because the culture of the character race that you pick will dictate some of your own personal preferences. I mean, part of being like being the Horde versus being the Alliance is that you identify with being misunderstood and wanting to stand up for that and wanting to stand together with people who have also been misunderstood. And I'm just like, rather than go for these holiday events like Christmas and like Halloween, aren't there things that happened in the World of Warcraft that are worth celebrating? Like when the Horde evacuated Azeroth and set up home on Kalimdor. I mean, that's got to be one of the biggest things that's ever happened to the orcs, at least. You don't think it'd be great for them to have a day or a week of the year where they celebrate their independence? And if they wanted to, they can line that up with Independence Day, but I wouldn't even recommend doing that. I would recommend just like putting it randomly, picking a time where there's nothing to celebrate in real life, so that you actually get to be really happy about something that's going on in the game that you can share with others, and then you can talk to other people about it, and it's just like a whole other set of things to celebrate. If I'm developing a game and I'm gonna put out content that relates to a certain thing happening in real life, the least that I would do is make sure it's accessible all year round. If it's like a quest line that happens to be horror themed, sure, I would release it on Halloween because people are already in the spirit for it. That's fine. But I would make sure that people can go on that quest all year round. I wouldn't take content away from people because they didn't decide to play it at this time. I just don't feel like that's the best incentive.
Okay, I do understand where that comes from, but back to the whole theory of it being a living world, you can miss out on things. There are things in real life where if you're not in the right place at the right time, that's it, it's over, it's gone, you can't come back to it. And holidays do come and go. I don't really think I would appreciate just Guild Wars 2 is the example I can think of because that's the one I'm playing. But I
Yeah.
don't think I would appreciate the Mad King's Labyrinth anymore if I was able to access it all year. Like I was there for part of it. In fact, I think I was there for so much I got sick of it and I ended up leaving ultimately.
Hmm.
So even if it was available all year round, I would never really feel any strong emphasis to go there at all. It was like here's Halloween, here's when everything is done up, here's when everyone's there, and then the rest of the time it probably would be a quasi abandoned place because why would anyone else bother when there isn't everything around? And again, like sticking to the living world theme, things come and go, holidays come and go. I don't want to go to Tox's workshop all year round because what's the point? I'll probably spend more time there than I want to. I stopped wanting to go to the Mad King's Labyrinth because I spent more time there than I really wanted to, and I just left. And I don't. By having these things come and go organically, we're adding to the living world. We're adding to the idea that this is an existing place because things can happen and the things aren't happening anymore. Like Christmas comes and goes. We don't randomly give gifts to each other in the middle of the year for no apparent reason or exchange gifts, I
There's always
guess.
a reason for a gift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we don't have how well, I guess if most stores had their way, they'd have Christmas decorations up all the time because Christmas is when they make all the money. And just a lot of these places they move on because we don't get stuck statically in a single thing. And again, there are such a thing as handling these events badly, such as not releasing Dire Tide for several years in a row. There
Yeah,
are
that got out of hand.
that got out of hand.
I was laughing the entire time, by the way. I know it got out of hand, but I was laughing so much. If
Yeah.
they went onto the Volvo subreddit, you'd be like, Volvo, why you no give Dire Tide? Like, okay, this is stupid, but this is really funny.
Yeah, and it's I've kind of lost momentum on my point.
Okay, well, that's good.
It's
If it comes back to you, one of the things that I'm going to say about Dire Tide in particular is that, good, jeez Christ, the fact that there were like rewards involved, it really took away from the fun of this event. I mean, yes, you do need to actually like play the game. You need to actually try to win this map, but I guess I just realized that people are going to figure out what is the best thing that they can do to win, and they're going to do that. And it's like, well, I just I understand it. Ranked mode, or you care about your MMR, and yeah, of course, do what you got to do to win. But did you really have to bring that into this? Did you have to really dotify the Dire Tide event that much? It's supposed to just have been for fun, and it was fun when everybody was having fun. When one group was way more determined to win than the other, man, not that fun. I mean, one group was having so much fun, and the other group was having no fun. It's like, well, this is just like, well, shit. See, this makes me not want to play. This makes me just want to go, just do a regular match.
Well, are you complaining more about the fact that meta has been brought into a game mode which was designed primarily to relax and be silly?
Yep.
Or you,
Well, say
okay.
the other one too, because I might have problems with both your suggestions.
Well, the other one is that, especially in the case of some of the Dire Tide events, hasn't been properly balanced because it's not the main game mode, and therefore balancing it is a secondary issue. I mean, I remember they had to change a lot of things one year because there was one particular meta that was just insanely powerful. So then they just, they had to nerf that so it didn't work anymore. And there was like one or two other things where we can't have this mechanic, we can't have this mechanic.
Yeah.
And that's mostly just because these mechanics aren't unbalanced. They're unbalanced in this particular game type.
Yeah. And why are people so determined to win? Well, I mean, there's yields after the match, and the rewards, the fact that you can earn something from winning this, it does force people to, or make people want to apply meta strategy to it, which again, perfectly fine in the regular game. Sure, it is what it is. But I sure as hell wish it wasn't in. It wasn't in Dire Tide, and it was. And I'm like, well, I'm not go have your fun. I'm not gonna play it.
Well, usually this content is optional. Like, there was no reason you have to live in the Mad King's Labyrinth during
Yeah.
Halloween. There's no reason you have to live in Tox's workshop. And there's no reason you have to do Dire Tide. You can just ignore it and move on with your life.
Yeah.
And that's legitimate. But stating you want to ignore it doesn't really, validate that it should, like, these events of these kinds shouldn't be liked altogether. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I'm not just. Again, I'm not just trying to be bah humbug about it. I am thinking about overall quality of life throughout the entirety of the game, and I just feel like I would rather spend that manpower and that energy on trying to improve things throughout the course of the game. I mean, there's a lot of games that I feel like have 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 not been designed fundamentally well, and if they were to spend more time improving the fundamental design than focusing on smaller events, even if people aren't like really happy at these particular points throughout the year, just the overall gameplay is seeing improvements to the overall gameplay will get more people to want to play it.
and also in terms of your whole comment about people, I guess, possibly having trauma, I hate Christmas.
It's stretching.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I hate Christmas. Like, there's a multitude of reasons which relate pretty much specifically to my family, but I hate Christmas. Part of it is my family is divorced. I have to somehow figure out how I'm going to be spending two different holidays, essentially two different families, and the families of the people they move. Like, my dad has a girlfriend who has kids, so they're going to all want to have Christmas together. So how do I schedule having Christmas with, them, without having Christmas with my mom's side of the family, which unto itself is its own little nightmare. We've got my aunt who seems to have this weird vendetta against my mom for no apparent reason, but it's entirely subliminal and on the surface,
And sibling relationships.
Yeah, my younger sister is an idiot. My older sister used to be an idiot, but she's doing a hell of a lot better lately.
And you're comfortable with that being recorded and broadcast.
No one I really know watches this show.
Okay.
But, okay, so I guess without going into more details, like, I hate Christmas. In fact, I think it was like year before last, I pretended being sick to take part of it off.
I did that once for a family gathering.
I just, like, fuck it all. This is all, like, there's so many problems with it. And then, so amidst this month, which is stressful, annoying, and stupid, and all that stuff, I find solace in the fact that I can go online and the romanticized version of Christmas is here. We've got snowflakes falling. We've got, wooden toy soldiers that you can have fall around with you and do nothing for combat. We have weapon skins which look absolutely silly and you're going to enjoy for a month or so before going back to your old weapon skins. Like, we have gifts for you. We have interesting activities. And yes, they're not the best of activities, but you get interesting rewards for them. Like, we have something here for you to do during a month where normally you would probably be more depressed than normal. So I like it when games do that because it's kind of a thing where, yeah, we know real life is messy, real life is kind of silly, real life is filled with all sorts of drama and stupid things you'd rather ignore. Come join our world. Come play with us. We're going to have fun. Look, you can pick up snowballs and throw it at people. It knocks them over and you get to have a laugh. But it does nothing besides that. Like, just come, build a magic snowman, throw some snowballs. We're not here to give you drama.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. How would you feel about, like, how would you feel if you were excited about events that like weren't Christmas related or Halloween related that were
You're
actually like
part of the lore of the
part of the
game.
lore of the game world.
I would probably be very happy about that. I'm not quite sure if Dragon Bash was original or not. I would think that the most that have to be there is a commitment. Because when you do Christmas related things, Christmas is a big thing, so it goes on for several weeks.
Yeah.
You have do Halloween related thing. Halloween's a big thing, goes on for several weeks. If you were to do something like an original holiday based on the lore of the game, like celebrating some famous person who died, or maybe celebrating some famous occasion that was on some obscure part of the wiki that nobody really paid attention to, but decided to make it to a holiday or something like that. Like that would be nice, but there would have to be commitment. They'd have to be going for several weeks. I mean, even if it is not Pagel Day, it has to go on for at least a week, possibly two, because not everyone's going to be able to log on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there has to be a decent enough window that, hey, we're busy with our lives. We can't necessarily be here for the time the Mad King destroys the fountain and Lion's Arch. That's fine, but it would again, it'd be a commitment. It'd have to be Nat Pagel Day lasts 2 weeks. Who the hell is Matt Pagel? I just pulled that name out thin air, but I feel like I've heard it before.
I have no idea. Sorry, I can't help you with that one.
I'm pretty sure I heard it somewhere, but
Pegel's a game. If that helps. Matt is your name.
Hearthstone. No, Nat.
Nat. Okay.
Nat Pagel's a Hearthstone card.
Goblin.
I don't know.
Okay,
I only ever play this game at the events. I don't ever play it at home.
Mm-hmm. Now with that out of with the humbug out of the way, the way I actually enjoyed seeing it handled was like the mini games. Like if you would go to in Guild Wars 1, there was like a snowball fight, but it was like a PvP map. So you would log into that, and you wouldn't have your regular abilities. You would just have like get snowball, throw snowball, snowball barrage, hide in a snow fort. Like it was fun, and I don't remember like playing for any particular reward, but I do remember trying to play it well, because you do want to still play it well, even if it's just for fun. So I remember that one being handled pretty well, and I enjoyed that one.
So it could be, as I said, that it can be handled well and can be handled badly. I mean,
yeah,
the lack of Dire Tide is an easy thing to poke fun at, but there have been a few of the Halloween-ish events where it just seems like nothing happens. Like the original one was a big one, and then we had some follow-up, and then we had 1 year where pretty much everyone stood around saying, "This is exactly what they did last year. They didn't even add any rewards."
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Why are we bothering?
So there's an issue for you. You set expectations in the players, and then you have to deliver on those expectations every year, much like the actual holidays themselves. So you can imagine how like maybe these first few Dire Tides are going well, but then there's an expectation that the next Dire Tides will not only be as good, but be better. Because Valve makes so much more, lots and lots of money on the game, you would think that money would be funneled into these events that they're continuing to do, and it went worse, or it was less exciting. It was like more of a disappointment. That can be a bit of a trap. That can cost you a lot of like your. I mean, it's grasping at straws here, but that can cost you your players' like opinion of you towards your game if. You give him these things, and then you kind of don't deliver when you don't really have a reason not to. I mean, it's coming. It's going to be a year from now. Mm-hmm. You have all this money. You can hire somebody else to do it. What's your excuse? Why didn't you do it?
Yeah, and this year, what Dire Tide, they finally sort of did it again, but they did it with zero fanfare. Like, if they actually had advertised, hey, you remember how we now have custom games? We at Valve have made a custom game, and it's going to actually encounter to your argument, it's going to stay on the workshop forever. And I don't know if they're always going to have dedicated servers to it. Maybe sometime someone's going to have to host it, but it's now sitting on the workshop, and there's no intention of taking it off. It's the whatever Haunted Mansion thingy.
Yeah.
And it augments every hero so that they're more balanced. I mean, obviously there's going to be better and worse, but the category of heroes who are effective at this new Dire Tide is a lot bigger than you would expect from previous years, and it's going to stay there forever. And that's interesting. That's a nice Halloween event, and it got zero fanfare. Like, it would have been nice if Valve made a bit of an issue over, hey, look, we actually did it this year. Remember that thing we've been skipping for a while? We did it. And, as far as I've been told, it's fun. I haven't, regrettably been on Dota as much as I would like lately, just
Okay.
Guild Wars expansion.
All right. So I am willing to concede that possibly the fact that these things are finite is what makes them worth playing in the first place. If Dire Tide is accessible all year round, will people be committed to playing it all year round, or are people committed to it very seriously while it's around, and then they don't have to worry about it for the rest of the year?
I mean, it doesn't get you any experience or anything at all, which I will concede that was definitely a problem with some things. I think, honestly, Dota 2 is the only one I can think of as an example of that, but if Dire Tide matches are counting towards your win-loss ratio, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. But it's been stated that all custom games at this point will not ever affect your win-loss ratio. You can go on a killing spree in any one of these things. It doesn't even, I don't even think it counts towards your gems.
No. And so hopefully you were recording it, or so you saved the replay so you can put it on your YouTube page.
Yeah.
Highlight reel.
Highlight Reel hates me. I remember I had this amazing game as Chaos Knight. And it's just like, no, like you showed one of my kills. And then, like, what about the time I went on a rampage? Where's the rampage? You think the rampage would make it onto the highlight reel?
Well, I was just saying that more like you making your own highlight reel in Movie Maker or something.
Yeah. It's if done right, it's great. It can be done bad, it can be lazy, and if you're lazy at it, then you probably shouldn't have bothered anyways. And in terms of inventing your own holidays, I would totally be down for that. I would like to just say as a question, since we've mentioned some major ones, there is one not so major holiday that very often shows up in video games. I'd be very interested in your opinion on it.
Okay.
April Fool's Day. How do you feel about April Fool's Day events?
Pretty good, actually. But
Pretty
it's
good.
not just games though. I've always appreciated going on to all my usual websites and just seeing who went for it this year and who didn't. And there have been a couple of April Fool's jokes over the years that were like pretty good. Like IGN.com put together the budget to make a trailer for a Zelda movie, live action, that looked not bad. And you're like, oh, that was a prank? Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. I remember, and it's also an opportunity to poke a little bit of fun at yourself too. Like Newgrounds.com one year did a pro-China government version of their site because at the time Newgrounds was banned in China. I'm pretty sure it still is. I would be very surprised if China ever let Newgrounds. Just goes to show that Newgrounds has always got new grounds to break. Anyways, so that the website was just like a communist version of it, and the tank had like the Chinese stars on it, and it was really funny because it's just like, okay, well, obviously no one's gonna fall for it, but here's an opportunity to let loose and see and just like show a funnier side to you.
I will say, generally online, when it comes to April Fool's Day, I will avoid every major site because I know they're going to prank me. And even when you walk into it knowing you're going to get pranked, you still just don't feel like putting up with it. I'll tune in tomorrow when the sites do the what were the top pranks of yesterday thing, and that condenses it. And again, using Guild Wars 2 as a topic, I actually have kind of avoided them during the last couple. I remember one year everyone was big head and all the enemies were big head, like just big head everywhere. It's like, this is stupid. I can't take anything seriously.
Well, here's the thing about April Fools. It only works if you forgot about it. If you just wake up one day and everything's weird, or just the things that you interact with are weird, you're like, what's going on? Oh, it's April Fools. That's April Fools.
Yeah, I mean, if they make
if you're expecting it, well...
If they make a convincing trailer, you may get so hyped at the idea that you just forget about it. Like, one of the things, I think it was Razer advertised for last April Fool's had a drone on it that connected to glasses, and the idea is you could play your life in third person. You can even set it up to horror mode, where it would just rapidly change position every time you enter a new room, go down a pair of stairs, and then just... Okay, and you just have all these fixed angles, and... that was funny. Like that, like they look like they put genuine effort into that. Like if you have, I'm part of a particular community, and every year on April Fools, one of the admins say, you know what, guys, I think it's time for me to go. I think I've had enough. Love you all. It just. You've been doing this for 3 fucking years. We don't believe you anymore, Clover. And it's also sort of pathetic when you see people fall for it. It's like, God damn, did you guys just join yesterday? Do you not know he does this every year?
Yeah.
Every year. But, so yeah, I can admit that. Like, it's another effort thing. If you put in good effort, then we can all have fun. We can all laugh about it. You can actually buy in Guild Wars 2 the Bottlehead Laboratory, and you just set it up somewhere, and everybody can go up to it. And if they drink from the Bottlehead Laboratory, all of a sudden like everything's bobblehead until they log out and back in again, or change zones. It's yeah, and I think they have something else called the Aviator's Memory Box, which is something similar, but it becomes something fun because here was this one day we did something silly, and now
Hmm.
for $5 you can buy a unlimited use kit that just does it to everybody again. Like let's have some fun again. And I think I'm kind of out of points. If you put effort into it, it's fun. If you commit to it, it's fun. If you're just gonna half-ass it, then you know what? I think we can all forgive Tick and Talk not showing up this year.
Yeah, and I will also admit that for somebody who is committed to playing an MMOR all year round and they log on every day, I can understand that this game is a part of their lives. You know, it really does feel like a huge part of just what defines them as a person. So to have a game like change up the environment every now and then, it is more reward for you the more committed you are to the game. If you just play it sporadically like I do, then you'll log on. There's like a Halloween event. Oh, I don't care. I don't even care about the fractals. I hate the fractals. I don't care about the fractals. I don't care about the fractals.
Dude, I mentioned it once. You can calm down.
But I mean, I get it. I still personally don't care for it, but I get it. Okay, you asked me about the April Fools, so I'll ask you about this one, and then we'll wrap up. How do you feel about Valentine's Day?
You mean Singles Awareness Day?
Yes.
I think I've made my point. How long do we have to hold
That was it.
for? Okay.